Isn't she incredible? I can't believe that this is the first time that we've sat in conversation with people. I was deeply moved by what you talked about and how you addressed me. And one of the things that when I talked about protocols when I was doing my talk. And one of the things that we do is that we honor our people, our guests, our elders with gifts when we come. And so on behalf of our people and my children and my grandchildren and our organization, I'd like to offer you one of the ruby.
Oh, I had my eye on that. Now you can just pull back your... Oh, that's so... Oh,
Yeah, this is also a couple of pieces of art from local artists for the West Berkeley Shaman and Segurity Land Trust.
well, I have a gift for you. Look, what can I give you?
No. Nothing.
That's good. I'm going to give you one of my favorite books. And it's got, what makes it more special is that I've written it. This is by me and Molly Brown, Coming Back to Life, the updated guide to the work that reconnects, which is like the deep ecology.
Yes.
You know, I'm just a sucker for courage. And I just saw in you standing up there and sharing your knowledge and your heart, your grief and your bravery was an act of courage. And there are a lot of brave people today. The women are speaking out too. And the children. Mm-hmm. And you know who lives in my heart is Greta Thunberg. Mm-hmm. Yes. That's Swedish. Oh.
Yes.
She knows how.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think that Greta speaks through, I think that her ancestors speak through her. And that she's trying to get us to wake up and to shake up something that maybe we can't hear unless we hear it through a child's voice. Mm-hmm. And the bravery of these young people in the Bay Area now that are coming to the streets and showing us as adults that they have power. When I speak to fourth graders sometimes, I tell them, you don't have to wait. You know, you don't have to wait. You can go to a meeting, you can write a letter, and that there are actually young people that are suing our government right now. Mm-hmm. Because we as adults are not making sure that they have fresh water and air for when they grow up. And it's amazing to think of that. I feel better in that way too, that we know that there are young people that are going to be taking up this fight. I also feel really bad as an adult to say that it's yours to take. And I think that it's our responsibility as adults to take as much of this burden off of them before it's time to hand it off.
I know, the nerve of them, sort of like that 7-year-old talking to Senator Feinstein.
Yes.
Did you get a load of that? Yeah. Sorry, she was dismissing us. I've been working on this for 30 years. Yes. What a self-condemning statement. Yeah. Well, I want to ask you, where do you get the courage to get up in the morning when you see that you're not, when you spoke about coming back to the neighborhood and to your apartment after having lived with that wonderful blockade, not a blockade, but the vigil there by the Corrina streets, and what it felt like. There you were feeling like you were living like your ancestors, and then you would come back which is home but not your home, and feeling must come over you a lot, and we all need tips for courage. Do you do exercise? What do you do?
I don't look like I exercise, right? I think that I have a lot of faith, and that the ancestors carry me through. I think that the Bay Area is this magical place, right? And because there's so many movements that have been built and grown out of here, that there's so much that people have thought of and created here. I think that my ancestors put down these prayers of magic so that we could actually grow them up, right? And so I think that we need to all put those prayers of magic down for the next 7 generations. I think I found love when I was there at the Sigorte, the spiritual encampment. I felt love for human beings and my land. I fell in love. I have a love of my children and my grandchildren, and I have a huge responsibility to wake up every morning and to know that there's a different way that we could be. I think it's because of that transition of knowing that people from all walks of life can actually live amongst each other and pray with each other and eat with each other and stand strong with each other against something and for something. And I think that that's what gets me through. But it's always going back to the land. And I think that the Sigorte Land Trust is putting up this harbor, going to the West Berkeley Shell Mountain, even though it looks like a parking lot, going to those places that give me strength, allows me to do the work, and just a big amount of faith.
And standing there on the paving of on the parking lot, and knowing that this is a shell mound before, and it will be again. So you're playing with time. You're just trusting that. And I feel like, I know that there's been a lot of work done by Toby McLeod, and he's here today. I'd like to ask him to stand here.
Yes.
Toby, where are you?
Right there. He moved on us. I think that that's what's beautiful, is that it's taking all of us from all walks of life to come together to do something. And I think that it's beautiful that we're talking about the ecology of spirituality. And what does that mean, right? And I think that one of the interesting things is that as Indigenous people, that's who we are, right? We believe that we are a part of it, though, and not outside of nature. You don't have to go out to something because you're a part of it already. And I think that that's where we're trying to get to, so that we could all feel that part of. And I think that it's beautiful to hear this idea that she talked about, people being the voices and getting outside of themselves.
Oh, the Council of All Beings. Oh, they loved it. And when I was mentioning, when my husband took they loved it in the Soviet Union. But you know what it's called there? It's called the Soviet of All Beings, which means the council, which is the... And they realized there, I remember when we took it to Eastern Europe too, to recently liberated sort of from Soviet rule, they said, oh, in Hungary, we're trying to wonder whether to be communist or capitalist, and now that we are freed from the Soviet Union? Do we want? And then they said, we don't need to decide we are the planet. We are Earth. We're free to be that, Earthlings, rather than choose whose side we're on.
Choosing whose side we're on, I think we're at a place in history where we can't, we have to choose though. That we have to choose to be on the side of humanity and the planet. That we can't sit on the fence anymore. That we have to do what we can in order to make the changes that are necessary. And I appreciate Michael talking about being discomforted today in the conversations that we're going to have in order for us to make those changes.
It's a sort of way we're going right back to the Jewish Bible, where Yahweh says, and therefore choose life.
Yeah.
That's what it's been made very simple for us now, to choose life.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if we can get outside of ourselves and let go of stuff, and I think that's what we learned a lot when we were at Segorite, which is the name of the village in Vallejo, that we could understand that we don't need all of these excesses that we have. And that's why I continue to talk about going back to this village life. We're going to have to imagine something that's much different than the way we live today. We're going to have to imagine being able to take care of one another in smaller compartments. And so we went away with some other folks doing work in the Bay Area around land stuff and had a visioning for 100 years and what the Bay Area would look like. And I would love for you all to begin to imagine today during the day, to imagine what does the Bay Area look like in 100 years that's going to be sustainable.
That's a great note on which to end. Thank you again, dear.